Greetings and salutations, old friends, and hopefully some new friends. Uh, I guess to open the show, I should mention that tonight we were going to do a special event of sorts, and that would be a Roswell discussion with famed sort of fringe topic researcher and author Cal Korff. Unfortunately, due to COVID outbreaks and things, Cal Korff had to reschedule. So I thought that I still wanted to come here, and we've got, well, I don't want to say I have shows planned. I have folders full of interesting and interesting things to talk about. We spent some time talking about Dr. Stephen Greer's free energy charity that love to take donations. And suddenly I realized that the trail of Dr. Stephen Greer and his love of donations, crowdfunding, and things like that go a lot deeper than just one organization. For those that don't know, uh, Dr. Stephen Greer crowdfunded money to create his films. And I honestly I don't know how any of this works. I don't know how you can raise over a $500,000 to create a documentary, which most documentary film producers would tell you is a huge, huge, huge budget to create a documentary, and then sell it for profit. But it is what it is, and we're going to go through some of that. And also, just for the benefit of those that don't know, Dr. Stephen Greer is the head of several organizations, one of which being the Orion Project, which promises to bring us all free energy devices if you just donate to him. Another of his organizations is the Disclosure Project, a organization devoted to disclosing the truth about aliens. Uh, but it doesn't end there. He's got sort of a spider web of organizations. So we've got the Orion Project, we've got the Disclosure Project, and then we have something called C the Center for Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, which I always thought was very suspect because he collects donations for that too, I believe. And it sounds strangely too similar to me to a real scientific organization, SETI, SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. So he takes the SETI name and just slaps an extra letter on the front of it and claims, I don't know. I've never heard him talk about actual SETI, I don't think. But to the best of my knowledge, and I could be incorrect, I believe that he solicits donations for CSETI, and it is the CSETI organization which collects $300 or $350, was it? We had a guest on our show, Michael, who he and his girlfriend attended a CSETI event, and I believe they paid $300 or $350 to attend that event. So I'm a little unclear on all of this collecting donations. Like, how does this all work out? First of all, the Project Orion is a nonprofit organization. And I'm working on getting some paperwork to show how much donations they have taken in and um, how much money they've spent or what have their expenditures been after, I don't know, 12 or more years, I believe, to the best of my recollection, 12 or more years of collecting donations for creating free energy devices. So far, Dr. Stephen Greer has not shown us a single free energy device. Funny that. So, Dr. Stephen Greer, just an interesting character who loves to collect money. Hey, he is a capitalist, right? Um, I just think it's kind of strange because other people that I know who've created documentaries on sort of fringe topics had to fund those documentaries themselves. But Dr. Stephen Greer found a way to uh, make sure that he, right, wouldn't have to pay for anything to create his films. Other people would pay for it for him. And, part of me thinks, well, we live in a capitalist society, that's okay. But when we see the numbers that he is collecting, it just doesn't add up to me. Um, as I said, I have friends that have made documentary films on fringe subjects, you know, collecting $500,000 or $600,000 to create a documentary of the caliber, I suppose, that he did, it just, the numbers don't add up to me. It looks like, an average film of his is like a bunch of shots of someone being interviewed and a bunch of stock footage in between, right? That you could buy at these stock footage warehouses online. Doesn't seem like a $500,000 production, but I could be wrong. I'm allowed to speculate on these things. I'm allowed to ask questions. And so I'm going to ask some questions. First, the first film, which he crowdfunded, was called Sirius. We are not alone here on Earth. It's time for the truth to be known. We are not alone in the cosmos, and we are not alone here on Earth. Oh, yeah. So actually, let me find one other thing. I had an article. Yeah. So there's an article here, how a small documentary project grew into the most crowdfunded film of 2012. And to the best of my knowledge, these numbers cited in the article are older and not up to date. I believe there was even more money collected for this film, but we're going to go with the numbers that are in print here. I'm going to cite fair use. This is a transformative work. We are educating the public about Dr. Stephen Greer and his crowdfunded films. So we're going to cite fair use as we share this article, read it, critique it, and discuss it with our live audience. Okay, 1 second, friends. Yeah, and the article is called How Sirius Broke Crowdfunding Documentary Records. Okay, and this is just by Sean. Well, this is from Ignition Deck, which is a crowdfunding platform that is probably lesser known than some of the major, but people have started using them more because they take or keep much less of the money generated and more goes to the people. So, how a small project grew into the most crowdfunded film of 2012. Ignition Deck's first release was funded by a small group of makers and entrepreneurs that were eager for self-hosted crowdfunding solutions, so much so that they donated time and money in order to get it off the ground. One of these early supporters was Never Ending Light Productions, a successful documentary film crew that sought to crowdfund their next effort, Sirius. Now, here's the tally. The numbers from April to June of 2012, Sirius ran a crowdfunding campaign on both Kickstarter and their own Ignition Deck-powered site. They continued collecting funds for Sirius during production and wound up raising a total of $520,000, of which $463,000 was raised on their own website. In total, they had 3,800 backers and a film premiere in Los Angeles just 1 year after their crowdfunding campaign had begun. What is the Sirius documentary? Sirius is a feature-length documentary directed by Armadeep Kaleka. It follows Dr. Stephen Greer, an emergency room doctor turned UFO researcher, as he struggles to disclose top-secret information about classified energy and propulsion techniques. 2.5 weeks prior to the start of their campaign for Sirius, Never Ending Light Productions sat down to burn the midnight oil and get all their networks together and lay down the infrastructure for their campaign. We drafted our major strategy for the campaign, everything from the hard financials to mapping the story, said Lori Knapp, post-production lead at Never Ending Lights. Lori and her team realized quickly during the brainstorming sessions that they could stand to keep a lot more of their raise in-house if they did it on their own site. Ignition Deck allowed us to incorporate. So the major gist of it that I wanted to get to is this is a huge number. $520,000 was raised 463,000. So 520,000 total raised, and 463,000 was on their own website. And I just wanted to show also that, again, this is fair use. We're educating the public about Dr. Stephen Greer and his crowdfunding donation drives to create his films. This is the Kickstarter. So I guess they had multiple crowdfunding sites that were involved in this effort. I'm trying to get to how much they raised. I think it's 50,000 or so. Yeah, here we go. So they raised $50,981 to create this film on Kickstarter, and then they raised, I believe it was another $520,000. I'm not sure if this number was included in the total tally of $520,000. This may have not have been, in which case it would be about at least $570,000 that Dr. Stephen Greer raised to create a single documentary film. A single documentary film. Now, the next film was Unacknowledged, and he did once again raise a huge amount of money crowdfunding to make that film. But here's the problem. The evidence of how much money he raised. Okay, listen, I could be incorrect in this, and I'm stating that. I believe, as I recall, he crowdfunded all three of these. However, something happened with his website where it's just like one page for fundraising. So I think as he finishes a project, he puts the next film up there. So what we have is evidence for the third film being crowdsourced, and that would be Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And boy, folks, that one raised a grand total of, I believe, $905,000. And that would be, I believe, for the film Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Let me share my screen once again, and we'll show us some evidence of that. Here we are. So, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, created by Dr. Stephen Greer, MD, who brought you Serious and Unacknowledged. You know, let's watch the trailer. Oh, wait, I can't do that right now. 1 second. We'll find the trailer on another site. Yeah. And then they raised a ton of money, and then they did a secondary campaign to reach the 1%. Your further support will give us the resources to reach the 1% of the world's population so that the transformation on Earth to a planet of universal peace will be realized. While we have raised enough to complete the film, the more resources we have to get the word out, the greater our chances of success. This is fucking pure greed, Stephen Greer. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. You raised $700,000 to create the film, right? You raised $700,000. Then you went back and hit everybody with requests for more donations and raised an additional $205,442 so that you could what? Get the word out about the film? Did you spend that $200,000 on advertising the film, promoting the film? Can we get a breakdown of that? Star Contact LLC. I love it. I love it. You can contact the star, right? Dr. Stephen Greer here at a P.O. box in fucking Virginia. The savior of, the UFO Jesus, the UFO savior of the human race, who's going to tell us all about the truth about aliens, is some fucking backwoods fucking country MD from Crozet, Virginia. Okay. Now here's the problem. Again, we should mention that I was not planning on doing this show this evening. I planned on doing a little bit more homework before running with this. However, because of a canceled guest tonight, I had to run with this one. So I have not found the numbers for how much was raised for the Unacknowledged film. But I think I found something else that's just as interesting. One second. Let's just share one more screen here. This is a page from Dr. Stephen Greer's website focusing on this film Unacknowledged. And yeah, you can still donate, right? You can still donate. Even though the film's done and already been done, you can still donate. What are we donating for? Stephen Greer. Oh, and here you can buy the film for $20, or you can buy the book for $25.95. Oh, and he's got a Discord server. Wow. Own your DVD copy of Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. Contact has begun. Yeah. And here we have, he sells, this is great. He has the key to making contact with aliens, right? And it's an app on Apple Store and Google Play. So for just, I believe it's $20. I checked into it once, but I wasn't going to pay $20 for it. You too can contact aliens. There's everything you need is in the app to contact the aliens for just $20. Fucking bullshit. This is such bullshit. How is that not consumer fraud? What are you selling people for $20? You're promising people that if they buy your app for $20, they're going to be able to contact aliens, right? How is that not consumer fraud? Like I said, these guys go right on the edge of what is legal, right? How the fuck is that legal that you're going to sell? I'm going to start selling an app. By the way, I'm going to start selling an app to, look, we can't let Stephen Greer monopolize the Talking to Aliens apps on iTunes and Google Play. All right. I want in on some of this fucking Stephen Greer cash. So I'm going to make my own Contacting Aliens protocol app. And fuck Stephen Greer. Mine's only going to be $10. I'm going to steal a lot of business from this dumbass. So time and time again, friends, we get to see this monstrous money machine of Dr. Greer's here. It just boggles my mind. It boggles my mind how much money this guy is able to collect and make, right? I've said it before, and I will say it again. Congratulations. Stephen Greer gets the most successful bullshit UFO alien bullshit salesman award. He makes more money than any of the other clowns out there selling similar alien or UFO bullshit, to the tune of millions of friends. We've just seen millions, almost $2 million of money, right? That he has gotten in donations so far. And we have not yet seen any of how much money he raised for the fundraising effort for the film Unacknowledged, the middle film in the 3-film series he has going so far. So the first film raised $500,000. The second film raised $905,000 or so. We don't know, or I'm sorry, the third film, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, raised $905,000. We don't know so far. I have to still do some digging to try to find out how much money he raised to create the second film in the series, Unacknowledged. But we're already past, I don't know. What we're at 1.4 $1.5 million so far. And that's just for the 2 films. We don't know about the second film, and we don't know how much money he has collected in general for C SETI, that organization. He takes donations for C SETI. He takes donations for this Project Orion. We haven't seen any of the money from that. Folks, we're talking about almost $1.5 million. And we haven't even begun. We haven't scratched the surface of Dr. Stephen Greer's donation game yet. We have not even scratched the surface. We're not even halfway through his revenue sources of donations here. And we're already up to almost $1.5 million. And again, I could be totally wrong, right? I could be totally wrong, and it cost $500,000 to create that first film. I'd like to see a breakdown, Dr. Stephen Greer, of your production expenses. And hey, I could be wrong. According to Dr. Stephen Greer, it was going to cost $700,000 to create that third film. $700,000. That's what it was going to cost to create that film. That's what he asked for, and that's the goal that he reached, right? So we'd like to see a breakdown of your production costs for that film that cost $700,000 to produce, right? And hey, we don't know how much money you raised for the second film in your series, Unacknowledged, but when we do find out how much you raised for that, if you did indeed crowdfund that as well, and I believe you did to the best of my recollection, I just was unable to find that as we went to airtime. We'd like to know, like, for example, if you collected $700,000 to make that one, we'd like to see a production expense list for making that film too. And again, you've been collecting all of this money with this Orion project for how many years now? 12? And you were supposed to produce free energy devices and create a lab. Can we see pictures of the lab? Can we talk to and interview the scientists that are helping you create these free energy devices that you said you were going to hire with those donations that you were soliciting and accepting for some 12 years now? Can we see pictures of the lab? Can I get a tour? If you're only in Virginia, Dr. Stephen Greer, I'm not far from you. I'm in Pennsylvania. That's a long ride, but I'll drive down there and interview you and see the free energy devices in the free energy lab. And we'll talk to the scientists that you have working in your free energy lab, right? I'll do it. So in all fairness, I really would. So one second. That's for Dr. Stephen Greer. That's my email address where you can email me so I can come and see the free energy lab. And maybe you can give me the 990 forms for that 501c3 that you created, right? That charity that you've been collecting donations for over a decade now, to the best of my knowledge. Maybe if I drive down there to see your lab, you could give me the 990 forms, which will give us a breakdown of how much you collected every year and how much money you have, what your expenses have been. Where did all that money go that you've been collecting? And again, maybe you could get together like the list of how much each of your films cost to make, like what your expenses were. You can just give me a spreadsheet, I guess. I don't know how this works, but myself and many members of the concerned public, when looking at this enormous amount of money that you're raising, we just like to know that you're really doing what you say you're doing with the money. If you collect $700,000 because you say the film's going to cost $700,000, then you should have no problem showing us some paperwork proving that it cost $700,000 to make that film. If you collected, what was it, $500,000 or so to make the film serious, then you should have no problem showing us where you spent $500,000. Just a lot of money, Dr. Stephen Greer. And I, for one, honestly, I think you got some splaining to do, bro. Like, you can't keep going like this. What are you going to do? You're going to make another film and collect another $1 million? Now, I can speculate as to what I think is happening here, but that could be dangerous, right? So I'm not going to speculate. I'm just going to ask questions. You said it was going to cost $700,000 to make this film, this last one. I'd like to see an expense report. Let's see what you spent $700,000 on. Because Dr. Greer, maybe I'm just cheap. Here's another problem, and I'm going to freely admit this. I am going to freely admit this, and we can discuss it because it's a fair point that I need to make. I have often gotten by in life with less than incredible resources, right? I have learned to do a lot with very little financial resources. So maybe it's just a sticker shock to a poor slob like me, Stephen Greer, that when I hear you collected $700,000 or that you said it was going to cost $700,000 to make a documentary film, I said bullshit. There's no fucking way it costs $700,000 to make a documentary film. There's no fucking way. That's my personal opinion. That's my personal belief. Coming from a background, like I made music videos on computers before people even knew that you could do video on computers. I've always used technology instead of money. You know, I've used my knowledge of software and technology and emerging technology to get ahead of people that had tremendous resources. So it's just my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. But I don't think that any fucking documentary costs $700,000 to produce. I don't know. I'd be interested, and we may look into like what does a Michael Moore documentary cost to make versus, you know, your documentaries. Michael Moore certainly has got a lot more resources and a lot better viewership than you, I would think. But I don't know. I can't really think of any other comparables except that I did reach out to a few people that made sort of direct to VHS documentaries years ago. And they all said, no way does it cost $700,000 to make a documentary. But again, they could be wrong. But my general problem with this and belief is that that's $700,000 to produce a documentary is a lot. It's a huge budget. It's a huge budget. And I guess I'm just not buying it, Dr. Stephen Greer. I'm just not buying it. And I had a few more things to share, if I could find them. And it goes to the matter of just trustworthiness. You know, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, or fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Is Dr. Stephen Greer a trustworthy individual? Or is he a man who gets caught lying constantly? I believe that he's a man that gets caught lying constantly. So we can't really trust him about how much he needs to. I don't think we can trust a guy like this about how much money he needs to make a documentary. I don't think we could trust him based on his proven track record of lying through his teeth. Like, he has been caught lying through his teeth many, many times. And I'm an asshole, so I'm going to play a few of those times. All right. I found this one interview that's on RT, which isn't that Russian television? Why would you go on Russian television, which is basically, you know, a Russian propaganda arm? But okay. So he goes on RT and, well, he makes some incredible claims, claims that you will instantly realize are complete and totally fucking bullshit. He makes crazy, out there, ridiculous bullshit claims with zero proof, zero evidence that can easily be disproven, right? Easily be disproven. So I'm an asshole, and we're going to share some of this. Let's see where I can find it. Yeah. So the headline reads, 3 people from my team, including an ex-CIA director, were assassinated. And this is Dr. Stephen Greer saying this shit. Now, this is a pretty long interview. This is like a 30-minute interview. So I got it queued up to the relevant portion. And we're going to cite fair use here. Let me make sure I get my banner going, friends. 1 second. Yeah, so this is a transformative work. We're educating the public about Dr. Stephen Greer and some of the ridiculous claims that he makes that are totally and completely factually incorrect and can be easily factually proven wrong. And we're using this video to display the point that Dr. Stephen Greer says crazy shit that can't be real and is a liar. And so this is fair use. 1 second here. Let me get that better. No, that's not better. That's better. Okay, 1 second, friends. Let's see if I can't get this. And of course,
about this issue. This is the biggest non-secret there ever was. Everyone knows this is going on. All the way back to when I was first putting the briefing together for President Clinton and his CI director, it was well known that there are deep secrets on this issue, but for the most part, the elected officials, at least in this country, aren't given control over those projects. If you doubt this, go remember what Jimmy Carter said after he became president when he tried to look into this. And President Carter said that when someone asked what it's like being the most powerful man in the world, he said, I wasn't that man because there were things that they would not tell me about and I had no control over. So this is a really
paraphrasing to the max on that statement, but okay.
Big problem for democracy and for governance all over the world. This level of secrecy, and it's reached the point at least in the United States, the United Kingdom, and a number of other countries where the secrecy is in of itself criminal. I'm saying this very specifically, and has subverted the Constitution and the rule of law and proper oversight. And this is what we found with the President Obama and with Clinton. Also, if you look all the way back to the time of Eisenhower, he got very frustrated dealing with this issue, and this is why he made the famous speech, "Beware the military-industrial complex."
That's another thing. Everybody loves to cite that Eisenhower speech as proof of an alien UFO cover-up. But really, he was just talking about the dangers of a system that rewards war-like tendencies. I believe that's my personal interpretation. I could be wrong. But the military-industrial complex, he was warning about the threat of that. That had nothing to do with the aliens.
General. He was not anti-military, nor am I. I'm from a military family. However, there are interests that have become very undemocratic and have been a threat to world freedom and also now to our geophysical existence.
I love the propaganda of this too. Look, they got him on a green screen with the White House behind him. And remember, this is Russian television, so this is all about a propaganda network that bashes the United States 24/7. And he goes on there, patriot that he is. Great guy.
In terms of the biosphere that have been allowed to go on for way too long. And this has been a problem all the way back to President Eisenhower in this country and similarly in other countries around the world, this level of secrecy.
All right, so tell me this. If this story is kept so secret that even presidents aren't informed about the issue, why are you still alive? I mean,
Great question. Why have you suffered no consequences, Mr. Whistleblower?
Are you allowed to make documentaries that stream on Netflix? The CIA has killed people for way less than disclosing a huge government cover-up.
Yeah, and there are 3 people on my team who have been assassinated who have been helping me.
Okay, here's where we get to the meat of this. He just said there are 3 people on his team that have been assassinated. This is fucking batshit crazy, Stephen Greer. When someone dies under even slightly mysterious circumstances or unknown circumstances or suspicious circumstances, there's an autopsy. So I guess I'd also like to see 3 autopsy reports of your 3 team members who were murdered, assassinated. You said it, not me. right? This is a crazy batshit claim.
Including a former CIA director. I don't want to go into that right now. However,
he just said, including, so one of the three of his team members was a former CIA director that was murdered. I'd like to see proof of this. I'd like to see proof of your claims, Dr. Stephen Greer. Or are you just fucking lying through your teeth here? Is this kind of like how you claimed once that you briefed former CIA director Woolsey, and then he came out and said, this guy's batshit crazy. He never briefed me about anything. I sat near him at a dinner at a social event, right? But see, this is the fantasy world these people live in. Dr. Greer goes to some social event and happens to meet a former CIA director and suddenly spins into his narrative that he briefed that former CIA director about the alien cover-up. And then the actual CIA director comes out and says, nope, that guy's batshit crazy. He didn't brief me, but we didn't talk about aliens. I just sat near him at a social event. Right? And this woman asks him why he's still alive, and suddenly he claims that 3 people on his team have gotten murdered, assassinated. Right? That's batshit crazy, Stephen Greer. Prove it. Prove it. Show us the autopsy reports. Can we talk to the police that are investigating those 3 homicides? Or there is no investigations because those people just around you just happen to die and you're using them in your fucking bullshit story time, right? It's crazy that this guy can go around and get away with this while collecting millions of dollars for this level of fakery, fraudery, and bullshittery.
We have systems in place to protect what we're doing. I have a lot of information that if something happened to me that would hit the internet, that would be catastrophic for those folks.
Oh, so he has got a dead man switch. And if they do kill him, he's going to flip the switch and it would be devastating for them. Why would you hold on to that? Why don't, if you really want UFO disclosure and you have all this devastating information, why would you just wait until they kill you to release it, you dumbass?
So that's just something we put in place about 20 years ago. And it's something that my view of it is there are, and this is the other thing, there are people at the Pentagon and CIA I've dealt with who are very much in favor of disclosing this information. So this is not a monolithic us versus them. There's a huge number of people who are on the side of bringing this out all over the world. I have a friend of mine, Carol Rosin, who's worked very closely with senior Russian contacts who want to see this disclosed for the same reasons we do. So, and we have similar people in China.
Yeah, and Carol Rosin also was, her biggest claim to fame is that she worked for Werner von Braun during the end of his life. Okay, so she worked for Werner von Braun, and she runs around telling alien stories too, or stories about what Werner von Braun told her about the coming fake alien invasion. And that's another story that Stephen Greer loves to run with. There's a coming alien invasion, but it's going to be fake. It's not going to be real.
And the United Kingdom and Canada. So I don't think that it's a monolithic issue. I think it's very much in flux. What I'm seeing is that it isn't going to happen until the people become aware that this is a serious problem, but it also has within it serious solutions for the world's environmental and governance issues and economic problems around the world.
You know, there have been higher ranking military and government officials coming forward talking about aliens for about 60 years. I spoke personally to a former defense minister of Canada who told me that there are dozens of alien
Oh, yes, he's
species.
a friend of mine.
Right. So he told me
that
there.
Former Canadian Defense Ministry official who basically read Philip Corso's book and decided that that was 100% factually accurate information. And from that time forward, he was all chips in on anything that people told him about aliens. He just believed it was true, didn't research any of it. It doesn't matter if he's a former Canadian defense minister. He's a fucking idiot because he just believes anything in any book that he picked up. He believed it to be factually accurate, didn't question it, didn't get corroborating evidence before he went around running around going, yeah, I was the Canadian former, defense minister and I believe in aliens doesn't mean it's true. It just means that guy has a propensity to believe shit that he reads in alien books and books about aliens.
There are a lot of species, alien species visiting the planet. And none of them were able to provide hard, undisputable evidence. But I just wonder, like, how many witnesses there needs to be. I mean, does it really take an alien saucer landing on Red Square or Pentagon for everybody to acknowledge the existence of outer civilizations?
No, it doesn't take that. However, it does take the people to get educated on this in a way that's meaningful, which is why we're putting out these educational films and products. I think.
Oh, okay. So he collected $700,000 to put out an educational film that he then put out for profit. But okay.
I think that Paul Hellyer, the Minister of Defense of Canada, a very good friend of mine, he and I held a press conference in Toronto, and I was one of the early people to introduce him to this subject. And he knows for a fact that he was being kept in the dark as Minister of Defense of Canada. I have dealt with the Minister of Defense of Great Britain, Lord Hill Norton, who was a 5-star admiral, who also was being lied to about these projects. Now, in terms of hard evidence, we have them. I have radar cases and I have traces of the actual physical material. We have, when you say that we don't have the physical material and evidence, we do. But who's looking at it? Who's exposing it?
Okay. So if you have physical proof of alien spacecraft, I'd like to see it. Let's see it, Dr. Stephen Greer. Or is he just once again playing hard and fast with the facts, right? Is he just making shit up here? He's got pieces of flying saucers. He's got physical evidence. Let's see it, Greer. Where's the fucking aliens, bro?
There should be a series of shows that does nothing but put that forward. That's what we've started to do, because those exist, not just government documents and testimony, but physical evidence, such as the radar tracings. And recently, the Pentagon released a radar case off the coast of California where
radar information is not physical evidence, you asshole. It's data.
One of our fighter jets tracked one of these objects moving in a way that no conventional aircraft could possibly move. And this was in the New York Times and CNN and elsewhere. My point is that there's a huge amount of evidence like this, and even physical hard evidence. And we have it. I've been accumulating it for decades. The question is, who's going to do a story on this? Because ultimately, what happens is that, at least in the United States, if you start doing a deep dive into the evidence on this, that show is going to get canceled.
Yeah, because Ancient Aliens got canceled after their first episode, you asshole. Shows don't get canceled because they're investigating this stuff. They do pretty well, actually.
Everyone thinks we have a free press in America. We do not. We have a managed press. And if CNN started drilling down on this subject, they would be told to stand down off.
No, you're an idiot, because CNN has covered some of this stuff, and so has Fox News.
Of it. And I've seen it happen. ABC News was pursuing this with us. I gave them 35 hours of digital tape of top secret testimony and hard evidence. And the executive producer of ABC News was told, you will not be allowed to do this story. So there's a myth around the world that the media is somehow
Yes, friends, the grand cover-up. Dr. Stephen Greer is a big supporter of the grand cover-up. There's this shadow government, and yeah, they're covering up those aliens, bro.
Completely free. The big media and mainstream media is free to do this, and that is not the case. If you look at the documentary Unacknowledged, we have an Air Force intelligence official who said, we used to bring from the US bags of cash to people in the media to secure their cooperation in keeping this stuff secret.
Yes, and who was his source for that information? Richard C. Doty, former Office of Special Investigations Officer Richard Doty, who is an admitted disinformation agent for the United States government. He's a source in your films. Great sourcing, man. Really good, trusting source. Yeah. If he was a fucking disinformation agent for the United States government, why should I believe anything he fucking says now, you asshole? And by the way, I interviewed Mr. Doty. I find him to be a fascinating and unique character. Very intelligent, very well spoken, and he has been involved in UFO shit for his entire life somehow. So these guys all hang out, talk about aliens, help each other sell their bullshit, right? Cite each other as sources. Doesn't make any of it real or accurate.
Now, this is a fact. This guy's testimony is there for anyone to see. And he was with many years in a classified project at a Kirkland Air Force Base, managing counterintelligence and trying to stop leaks on this issue. So these facts are out there for the public to see.
No. Again, with factual inaccuracies. Richard C. Doty was not trying to stop people from spreading information about aliens. He was trying to encourage and promote it for the United States Air Force as a cover story while they were working on top secret drone aircraft at Kirkland Air Force Base. You asshole. There's a famous case, the Benowitz case, where Paul Benowitz lived by Kirkland Air Force Base, believed that he was seeing aliens or flying saucers, right? And filming them. Richard C. Doty got assigned to the case to muddy the waters because what Paul Benowitz was actually seeing was top secret drones being tested over Kirkland Air Force Base and in the surrounding region. So Richard Doty gets sent to muddy the waters and convince Paul Benowitz that what he's seeing is actually aliens. So Richard Doty was not involved in trying to cover up alien information. He was involved in trying to spread information about aliens. And again, this is a United States Air Force disinformation campaign that he participated in. They spread information to people like Paul Benowitz and idiots like Linda Moulton Howe and idiots like Stephen Greer. Fake UFO documents, fake pictures, fake assessments of alien spacecraft or stories of crash retrievals, right? But we're supposed to believe them now.
Now, I hope people will look at it. And I think that people need to understand that we need to create a new type of media that actually is honest and will tell the truth to the public about this.
All right, Dr. Greer, thanks a lot for this insight and an interview. We were talking to Dr. Stephen Greer, director of the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence.
Oh, that's what it is.
Alien civilizations.
The Center for, yeah, okay. Sounds a lot like SETI to me, but okay, C-SETI. Okay, friends. Now I have one last thing that I do want to share. Because this, again, will just display the lies that are always coming out of this clown's mouth. Constant lies. He constantly lies. He constantly makes shit up. And once in a while, somebody calls him on his lies. I'm sorry, I lost the video, so I have to locate it again. Just bear with me. Okay. Here's another whopper he got caught in. And again, we're going to cite fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public about Dr. Stephen Greer and how many ridiculous lies come flying out of his fucking mouth constantly, and the times that he has been, taped spouting these ridiculous lies. Here's a great one, because Dr. Stephen Greer said some crazy shit about the Dr. Hal Puthoff, who is a well-known figure in sort of the free energy, plasma research, UFO fringe. He's worked for Bob Bigelow and now a member of TTSA, I believe, right? He's the fringe UFO science physicist guy, right? And despite what I think about him, I think that this is a funny clip. So this is a transformative work. We're educating the public. We'll be discussing and critiquing the contents of the video I'm about to share, which is Dr. Hal Puthoff commenting on some of the ridiculous shit that Dr. Stephen Greer said about him. Okay. Let's share this, friends.
Stephen Greer was pitching his movie that's coming out, and he said that you had told him that there were some anti-gravity or anti-energy devices or something, and he had asked you why he didn't make them public, and you said that they would murder your kids and your wife and probably you if you said, why did you say that?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. It really ruins my appreciation for the media in general, because most times when I find something in there about me, it's not true. So I'm wondering, is that the case with everything I'm reading here? Anyway, no, I did not tell Steve Greer, that if anything were released, if I were to release anything, I and my family would be murdered. Never said it. Never even thought it.
Interesting. So he never said that. You know, there you go. There's Dr. Stephen Greer busted, lying through his fucking teeth, right? Lying through his fucking teeth. And I just don't get it. I just don't get it. So this is why I don't trust the money situation with him. Because if a guy's going to lie about ridiculous shit like members of his team being murdered, or another, researcher or doctor telling him that he'd be murdered if he released anything, right? I don't know. It just seems crazy to me. Yeah. So, and there's other videos out there of people commenting. We saw we saw quite a disagreement between Crazy Kerry Cassidy and Dr. Stephen Greer. Then we saw a disagreement between Linda Moulton Howe and him. Now Hal Puthoff and him. So So, friends, we're going to take some comments and questions from the live chat. But before we do, just a bit of business and some good news, finally, to get to. I'm going to put a banner up here. 1 second. Yeah, this is my begging bowl. So we have a few ways that you could support our show here. The first is Patreon. And if you give $1 a month or more, you get a bunch of benefits, including a monthly behind the scenes audio journal about what's coming up or what we're working on the show and things behind the scenes. You also get my free Linux operating system, Altos, which the new version will contain something like 70 gigabytes of software for creative people, video editors, audio editors, all manner of different kind of software intended really for creative people, musicians. There's software synthesizers galore, digital audio workstation software, video editing software, 3D programming software, tons of emulators. You can play virtually any video game that you grew up with. You can play Nintendo and Sega Genesis again. You could play Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, Sega Dreamcast, Neo Geo, PlayStation 1 and 2, Xbox, and Xbox 360 games, all included in our system. Basically, whatever I'm working on, the Patreon people get it. So they get this Linux-based operating system, and also a project called MindHack, which I've been slowly cobbling together over the past year. And people in the Patreon have gotten a small piece of the system every month for about, I don't know, probably 8 or so months now, maybe more. I'm kind of losing track. It's a big project. What is the MindHack system? The MindHack system is a personal development system that combines hypnotic inductions, guided meditations, binaural beats, and a lot of positive reinforcement and motivational speaking, which includes a lot of subliminal messages in the audio tracks. It's basically an audio formatted system, and it will also include a book. So I'm happy to report that we're moving forward with finally completing that project. I have just 20 minutes of audio to finish, and then I have to format the book, which will be included. And we're going to be selling that as a product here on my show. But if you're on Patreon, you're getting it free, and you're getting it first. You've been getting it in pieces. And again, the Patreon is $1 a month. You can go to our About section and there is a donate, there is a sign up for our Patreon, and it's $1 a month or more. The minimum buy-in is $1, but if you wanted to give $5 a month or $10 a month or whatever you wanted to give, you could. The second way to support us financially is just a one-time PayPal donation. We call those the not so super chat donations. And what you do is you just give us, click the donate by PayPal button, and then you add a note and put your chat room user ID and anything that you want me to shout out or say. We'll give you that shout out and thank you for your generosity and support of the show. So with all that being said, back to the Mind Hack Project. I'm so proud of this thing. I say this about a lot of projects that I undertake that I know are going to be huge, difficult projects to complete, but I really think that I worked harder on this Mind Hack Project than anything else creatively I've ever done. I'm very passionate about it because I think that it can help a great number of people who are struggling with things, who need to get, more done in their life, who need to manifest that which they're trying to manifest and are having difficulty doing that, or people that are struggling financially, or people that are struggling, just at things like winning at life. Winning at life is not easy. So the Mind Hack includes all these different tools to help you through difficult times, to help you overcome obstacles, learn to stop procrastinating and start getting more done. I'm very, very passionate about this project and very, very proud of it. Mostly because I think of all the things that I have created creatively in my life, music, videos, theater productions, special effects work, of all the things that I have ever done in my life creatively, I think that this is the most important because I truly believe that it can help so many people. So without further ado, I'm going to show you the first trailer for the finished Mind Hack. It's sort of like trailer for the retail product. Now I have to say, we're still not sure how we're going to package this thing and what is the delivery method going to be. Probably digital, but I'm fighting that because of the rampant piracy. You put an ebook out and it's all over pirate sites within a few days. If you put a physical book out, not so much. So we're still investigating the delivery method and is it going to be a physical medium or not. The Mind Hack Project is going to include a book and 4+ hours of audio recording. That is the whole system, the motivational speaking, the guided meditations. There's going to be 2 sets of binaural beats included with the Mind Hack Project, and all this motivational speaking, hypnotic inductions. If you like this sort of thing, I think you will find it really, really helpful and beneficial. So we're going to premiere this trailer teaser for the retail product Mind Hack. Let's take a look, friends, and let me know what you think on the other side. We will, after we play this short Mind Hack video, we're going to take comments, questions from the live chat and devote my full attention to that. So here we are. Welcome to Mind Hack.
What if it was possible to learn how to hack or program your own mind? The truth is, your mind has already been programmed and controlled by others for years. But this is how you break free. This is how you learn to program your own mind and finally take control of your destiny. This is how you break that bondage. This is how you learn to hack your own mind and learn to finally be free. Welcome to Mind Hack. The Mind Hack system includes guided meditations, binaural beats for each brain state, motivational speaking, hypnotic inductions, and much, much more. The Mind Hack system puts you back in control. The Mind Hack system helps you reach your goals. The Mind Hack system helps you manifest your dreams into reality. By finally taking control of your own mind, you will learn to focus and take control of your own infinite potential. Welcome to Mind Hack.
And there we have it. I'm very proud of finally being able to get this thing ready to be a product. And, you know, certainly we could use something to sell on our show here that will help us to enable to keep the show going. And I don't know, a lot of guys sell vitamins and food prep shit, and I don't know. We don't know what to sell here. So I'm going to begin to market products that I design and create so that I know that people are getting a good product. Yeah, and here, Six is Design reminding everybody that Truthseekers is also on Twitch TV. Please visit us there and please follow us there. We need 25 more followers or something before we can be an affiliate or something like that and take money. Yeah, that would be very, very helpful. And boy, I saw that the sub numbers jumped up again by like 25 in the last day or so. So yeah, we're trucking along, and we're whatever numbers they say we need for monetization and to take super chat donations, we're gonna hit it. I'm no longer really concerned about that. Just a matter of time. And I keep saying this. I come here and I water this garden, and surely if I keep doing that, this garden will grow. So it's been good to see. It's been good to see some growth, right? And some momentum starting to build. Six Design also reminding people about our Patreon. Yeah, I try to give everybody on Patreon the best value that I can. I mean, for $1, and every month I'm like, I hope I gave everybody enough stuff so that everybody's happy with their dollar and supporting me, you know? Okay, comments, questions in the live chat, please put them in all cap. We can talk about Stephen Greer or whatever else you want to talk about. Oh, that's interesting. So let me just check in, actually. I'm going to have to bear with me, friends. I always forget to do this. We like to also, if you become a new Patreon member, we make sure that we shout you out. Just checking with Patreon, see if we have any shout outs for new Patreon supporters. In the meantime, if you have any comments or questions for me, you can just put them in all caps. Okay, I think we already shouted them out, but last Patreon supporter was the initials MW. I don't want to say the full name. And that was from November 18th, last new Patreon supporter. So thank you to MW. We appreciate your support and your generosity to help us to create this show. Unlike Stephen Greer, I don't need $700,000, but it would be nice. Yeah, we produce at least, I'd say, 20 shows a month here on a budget of like $150 a month if we're lucky. So maybe that's another reason why I call bullshit on somebody spending $700,000 on one documentary film. You know, I mean, maybe he just never learned to, produce anything, right? No, I think I'm in the wrong one. Sorry, friends. Let me check. I'm going to check in with the Patreon too. See if we do or do not have anyone to shout out there. Like I said, we call these the not so super chat donations. And what you do is you just click that PayPal donate button, you add a note, and you include your chat room user ID. Yeah, so the last PayPal donation we got was from initials RH, $40 kind donation. That was November 11th. Before that, we had November 9th, Genocide with $5 donation. Before that, November 3rd, we had a $7 donation from Ryan Morphy Richards. And October 30th, a very kind donation from Dan Hogan of $75, which we appreciate immensely. And before that, October 27th, I believe that was Reem C with a $10 kind donation. And again in October, Genocide, $5 donation, and Andrew, $15 donation. So that covers October and November. Trucking right along. No new donations in a while, but it is what it is. I understand it's a very difficult time right now for people. So if you cannot support us financially, hey, there is another way that you can make sure that you support us, and that is to please like, comment, and subscribe. And please send the channel address here to some friends. Ask them to like, comment, and especially subscribe and hit that notification bell. And you too will know when we're streaming live here and can come and join in the fun. Please be sure to like and share on your social media. That really does help us to spread the show to more people, to get more people involved. And we definitely want to do that. So if you can't support us financially, hey, I get it. It's rough out there right now, brother, which is why I'm on the internet begging for money. So, yeah, it is what it is, though, friends. So the best way to support us, if not financially, is really like, comment, subscribe, help us to spread the show. All right, back to the live chat. Diana says, oh man, I'm an hour plus late. I love the avatar though. And the good news is you're here now. So, but you missed, the presentation, I guess. No, Diana, that is next. Did I cover the latest whistleblower or Greer? I covered Stephen Greer's fundraising efforts for a show, and we showed that he raised at least $1.4 million to create these documentaries, but we didn't get all of the information yet. We're still digging on that. I am now aware that Dr. Stephen Greer talked to a new whistleblower who claimed to recover flying saucers off the coast of, Costa Rica? And he was a member of the National Guard. And we're going to cover that. This is good news, friends. If you search the dirt on Stephen Greer on Google, it brings our stream up first. Praise the AI algorithm gods and the Google search AI gods for giving us first ranking. Praise them. Praise the AI gods. And if you people think it's funny to pray to an AI god, you have never tried to do a show like this where you're depending on Google to help you spread your show, or in fear of Google for shutting down your show, people being able to find your show. What upcoming shows are you planning next? Well, we've got Smoke King coming on Saturday night, I believe at 10 p.m. this Saturday night. And we're going to be talking about Coral Castle. We're rescheduling CalCorf, which I believe will be next Wednesday, and December 4th, Friday, December 4th at, I believe, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to have Solar Marshal and Alien Scientists. We're doing a simulcast where we're going to do one show together, the three of us, but it's going to be simultaneously broadcast on my Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, and Alien Scientist is going to be restreaming it or simulcasting it on his YouTube channel. And that'll be a pretty special event, a simulcast, something we've never done here, but we're going to figure it out and get it. Charles Unleashed wants a dildo finding app. That would be too easy on David Nocock. And you need to put links under your videos. You don't need to have a certain amount of subs. At Pixels, they make dozens of products from one picture or painting. No cost for any of my affiliates. Yeah, talk to me offline about that. I would love to help an artist. If you're an artist and you're making and you have art to sell, and we can help you, and maybe you can give us, a small percentage, that would be great. The guy Greer is showcasing was convicted of using, growing, and selling shrooms to crewmates. Maybe that has something to do with how he was seeing aliens, Diana. Listen, Diana, email me. This is my email. If you got to send me that information, because we definitely are going to cover this Greer new whistleblower. And if he was like Mr. Shrooms on the ship, that's pretty goddamn funny. And I want to see that. And you might save me some digging if you just email me links that you have at truthseekershow@gmail.com, or you can DM me on Twitter with those links. It's just at Stephen Cambion. Yeah, I would really appreciate that. That's funny. So the guy, the guy Greer is showcasing was convicted of using, growing, and selling shrooms to crewmates on duty on the ship that was recovering the alien spacecraft. That, my friends, is beautiful. And this is the quality of the whistleblowers that these UFO alien huckster clowns always get. This guy was convicted of selling shrooms to crewmates on duty. Another one of their whistleblowers, not Stephen Greer's, but Kerry Cassidy's whistleblowers, is sitting in jail, and he's a fucking murderer. Another one of Kerry Cassidy's so-called whistleblowers and David Wilcock's whistleblowers was court-martialed for molesting children while he was in the military. Great quality sources you guys got, guys. And you wonder why people fucking laugh at these people running around talking about aliens all the time. One of the guys Greer claims was assassinated died in an auto accident. Nothing more than that. Yeah, I haven't dug into his claims on these 3 staff members of his that were murdered, but I'm pretty sure that those claims are exactly that. Bullshit, right? Cambion camel toe shirts. Hey, we aim to please here. But I don't have a camel toe though. Cambion camel toe. Yes, please do DM me on Twitter, Jeanette. I would appreciate that. You just save me some digging. I hate to do stuff. Like if somebody's already got oh no, you were talking about selling stuff. So yeah, DM me. And Diana, it's public record. Yeah. But if you got a link to the story about that would be like, ooh, Kerry Cassidy got her 3rd strike tonight. What was she covering? Diana? And listen, if you already know you got 2 strikes on YouTube, you should calm the fuck down, right? Stop doing shit that you know they're not going to like. But not Kerry Cassidy. Like literally after having 2 copyright or 2 community strikes against her, and for those that don't know, if you get 3, your channel goes, gets erased from YouTube's existence. She had 2 community guideline strikes. This idiot goes and interviews the doctor from that Plandemic movie, which YouTube banned, right? She's not a very intelligent girl, this Kerry Cassidy. She's a fucking idiot. Character of Greer with low-hanging, oh, Jesus Christ. And this is in relation to the Dr. Camel Toe. Look, I hate that I noticed this, but I noticed that Dr. Stephen Greer has a big fucking fat roast beef vagina in a lot of pictures. If you see a lecture of his and he's standing up, there's something going on with that dude's junk. And it looks like he's got a fucking big ass vagina camel toe or a big fucking moose knuckle down there. Like something is wrong with this dude's junk. I think he's got a fucking vagina. Okay? I think he's got a fucking vagina. Oh, so they cut her midstream. But Diana, what was she covering? What was she saying that caused the strike? Do you know, or did they just cut her? And oh, listen, I just laughed. I should never laugh at another YouTube content creator losing their channel because that is a fucking tragedy, right? But then again, some people deserve it. Like if you keep doing things that you know are against community standards, right? Not all video tags make it into the algorithm, but if none come up, you can be sure that YouTube is silencing you. Yeah. He has giant balls and needs a ball bra. I hope that's what it is. Because if that's a fucking vagina, it looks like a camel toe, though, Diana. It looks like a fucking camel toe sometimes. We have found multiple examples of him sitting down with a camel toe, right? They're on my Twitter. If you really want to see, listen, if you really want to see Dr. Stephen Greer's camel toe, huge fucking moose knuckle, vagina, camel toe that he's got going on, go and follow me on Twitter. It's at Stephen Cambion. And I will be, if I see any more pictures of Dr. Stephen Greer's huge fucking camel toe, I'll be posting them on my Twitter. Chuck Bam, how much? Good question. How much to join Greer on a CE5? I believe it's between 300 and 300, or it's either 300 or it's 350. I think it's 350. We had a guest on our show, Michael, who discussed it, and I believe he said 300 or maybe 350, at least the event that he attended. And there was 20 people there. He said at least 20 people. So that's a good chunk of change, right? If you get 20 people, and let's say it's 300, that's $6,000 for one day's work, right? One night's work. BG's was in there. I left early. She was talking about stupid per usual, like really outlandish stuff. So she was going she was crazy. Carrie Cassidy was talking crazy and they cut her midstream. Wow. Oh, 1100 is the retreat weekend. Wow. So you could do a whole weekend with Dr. Stephen Greer and his camel toe for $1,100. You made a Greer balls gallery. That is sadism. No, we only put up a few examples so far. She had Shaman Spears on. I've never heard of you. $1,100. What does that include? A lot of bullshit from Stephen Greer, shining laser pointers up in the sky, seeing lights in the sky that he claims are extraterrestrial spacecraft, which may be various forms of trickery, like airplanes in the sky, satellites. We have a witness that claimed that there was drones in use, and you're not allowed to film anything or record anything while you're there. They strictly enforce no filming, no phones. So this was her show today, November 25th, 1 p.m. Point Claire Edwards, 5G, COVID, and the great. Oh, yeah. So she was talking about COVID and 5G causing COVID. No wonder they got her fucking stream. It's all so fake bullshit. They shouldn't let her go scaring people with these crazy fucking made up conspiracy theory nonsense. And by the way, we talk about some conspiracy theories here, but there's some things you just know that are going to, upset the AI algorithm gods that you should stay away from. We don't really discuss COVID here. We have discussed with our panel here, like the psychological effects of the lockdowns, but we're not out there telling people that 5G, has anything to do with the current health crisis or whatever. Yeah. Yes, you did make it. Yeah, I like your avatar. Yeah, so I mentioned a few people asked me about what you sent me earlier. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And this is Lookup on Twitter. One of my favorite UFO Twitter followers sent me I'm going to read this. New witness testimony, craft pulled from the ocean. For the first time ever, you will hear the incredible account of a new top secret clearance military witness about the retrieval of an ET craft. This person was there in person to witness an amazing retrieval event. This witness comes forward for the first time ever to discuss what they saw. the witness will speak with Dr. Stephen Greer and reveal both identity and what he found. So that's Dr. Stephen Greer's new whistleblower. But look up, or I guess here you go, Kick Rocks 88. Someone in the live chat mentioned that his whistleblower was arrested and convicted for growing and selling shrooms to active on-duty people on the ship. So maybe eating all those shrooms may have had something to do with him thinking that they were recovering alien spacecraft on that ship, you know? And apparently that guy got arrested for growing and selling shrooms on the ship. What a high quality witness. What a high quality witness. Chuck Bam, you want a lot for your money, doesn't it? We're talking about Stephen Greer's ESETI weekend retreats, $1,100. I don't know what it includes. I don't know. Yeah. And I heard a horror story from somebody that went to that and said they basically spent the whole weekend outside in a fucking tent or something, and it was terrible. But I don't know if that's an accurate assessment of what happens. Okay, Six Design. I'm reading what you're writing in the live chat about Kerry Cassidy and what she said and what went on with her getting a community strike, her final and third community strike, and her channel get taken down. But I'm not going to read it out loud here on air because the AI algorithm gods might think that I am in support of her ridiculous, crazy conspiracy statements that she's spouting on her channel. Oh, Diana, you're my new favorite. This is great. So we're gonna have the court-martial documents. All right, look, man. How long? Does anybody know how long is this interview? How long is the interview with this whistleblower? Does anybody know? I'm gonna see if I can find it. Okay, Mario, he has. Look, we're gonna. How long? We've been going for an hour and a half already. But if we can get this all in one show, I will try to sit through this. I'm going to try to find this interview with this whistleblower, and then we're going to look at his court-martial documents for selling shrooms. Oh, this is great. This is gold, friends. This is gold. 1 second. I'm trying to figure out how we're going to find it. New witness testimony, craft pulled from the ocean. That's how I got to put in the search engine. Oh, I think I found it, friends. Yeah, and this was put up November 24th, but it's an hour long, right? Friends, I can't do an hour of this. Well, let me see if we can't, you know. One second, friends, just bear with me. I'm trying to kind of cue this so we don't have to sit through an hour. One second, friends. All right, we're going to start it at about 20 minutes in. But before we do that, oh, this is great. Yeah, when he asked what he witnessed, he could only recall the month. All right, but we have something else important to share, and it's funny because Mario Heath sent me this. But and I just watched this earlier today, Mario Heat, and we're going to share this because this is just more Dr. Stephen Greer bullshit. And let's get all the bullshit out of the way, the major of it, right? Yeah. He makes these fantastical claims and then he has convenient excuses for why he can't show us any evidence, right? And here's just another example of incredible UFO alien related bullshit coming out of his fucking mouth with not a single fucking shred of proof of any of the shit he's talking about. And he absolves himself of giving us any of the proof. Fucking amazing. Oh, let me do this again too, friends. 1 second. We have to be sure that we make sure that everybody understands when we share a video, it's fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public and critiquing the video being shared. So let's get to that.
A little bombshell I'll share with you. I received very recently a photograph that fell out of some belongings of a woman who had been at the atomic bomb site in 1945 and then was transferred to Roswell. But it's a photograph of an ET being dissected on a table from the 1920s. So this goes back, when I talk about the lost century, that there's a century of knowledge, technology, information that is just poof, gone, into the black hole of Calcutta.
Again, it's all cover up. The shadow government, right? MJ-12, those goddamn men in black, they're all trying to cover up the alien truth, bro.
The black pit of secrecy. That is really true. And I was astounded. We had the top experts in the world for medical equipment and clothing. Look at this. And they said it's absolutely from the 20s, between 1922 and 29. And it's an ET on a slab being autopsied and dissected.
Now, how could they know that it was a genuine photo of a real ET being dissected? Do you mean that the clothing matched the time period, the surgical tools showed matched the time period? Okay, but that's not proof that it's a fucking alien. It could be a deformed human. It could be a victim of a plane crash that's burned and charred and disfigured.
So that we have just acquired. The family that has shared it with me has allowed me to put it in the briefing for the president and the president-elect. They have not cleared me to release it publicly, and I honor my word. So
yeah, he's going to brief the president and the president-elect. He does a lot of this. He talks a lot about these briefings that he's giving very big and important people. But there's one problem with that. None of the people he claims to be briefing will admit that they got a briefing about fucking UFOs or aliens from this fucking jerk off. None of them will admit that. None of them will go, yeah. Oh, yeah, Stephen Greer, he came in here. I didn't hear Trump say, yeah, Stephen Greer came into the White House and he briefed me about this alien autopsy picture, right? Oh, and conveniently, he can't fucking let us see it because the family has the family's only given him permission to share it with the fucking president and the president-elect in his briefings for the president and the president-elect. They won't let him share it with the world.
So hopefully, eventually, I'll be able to convince them to let us put that out.
Yeah, and what is the quality of the sourcing here of this groundbreaking information? Third phase of moon. Fuck third phase of moon. Fuck them right in their eyes. Third phase of moon, you could suck a dick. There, I said it. Third phase of moon can suck a dick, and so can Security Team 10. You both can suck a dick, both of yous. UFO profiteering huckster bullshit artists. It's crazy. All right, now we're going to take another detour here, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna cover this fucking new whistleblower of his that claims that he was on a Coast Guard ship that recovered an alien flying saucer off the coast of Costa Rica, and then we're gonna look into that gentleman's background and look at his court martial for selling for growing and selling shrooms on the boat. He got court-martialed for that. And I don't know about you, but I think if you're eating a lot of shrooms, you just might see some alien spacecraft, bro. This is the quality of his new witness testimony. What a fucking clown this guy is. What a fucking clown you are, Dr. Stephen Greer. You're a fucking educated guy. You're a fucking carnival huckster, right? Out there fucking, you're a carnival barker. Step right up, friends. Come and see the alien. Oh shit, it wasn't an alien. Step right up, friends. See the picture of the autopsy that I can't show you, right? A fucking carnival barker. Nothing that he ever talks about ever pans out as real. He's been at this for fucking decades, dude. All right, let's get to the interview. And look, I jumped it ahead 20 minutes because I just want to get right to the meat of this guy's claims. And then let me put the banner back up. Again, it's important for me to make sure people understand that this is fair use. If I share a video here, we're educating the public. This is a transformative work. We're going to be critiquing the video that we're sharing, and I'll be stopping every once in a while just to comment on this. 1 second, friends. So you wanted it, you got it, my friends. Everybody wanted me to cover this. I was going to cover this on a separate show, but here we are. Let's get into it.
And we didn't do the whole course of that last general quarters drill. We didn't have any comms for whatever reason with the bridge. We didn't have any communications. 2 of the headsets weren't working. So I ended up being the messenger between the engine room and then the bridge. And so
the comms went down, and this is sort of like when people have UFO encounters and their car stops running, maybe, there's some sort of electrical interference. That's a common theme of these UFO stories.
Next thing I remember is we were given the order to fire up the emergency generator, which was, that's what we had to do to use the boom, to do buoy operations. It was a backup generator, but it was also for the boom. So, and then we were told that the object that was in their net, that we had orders to retrieve it, to lift it out of the water. So, that's basically what we started doing. There was a team.
So they got a boom and they're going to get something out of the water. Okay.
6 officers and there was 2 enlisted. I was one of the 2 enlisted guys that were part of this team that were allowed to go outside and help to lift this thing out of the water. And the first thing we had to do was they basically just cut away their net that was around it. I'm sure they probably weren't too happy about
this
that.
This is great. He claims he held a top secret clearance during the time on paper he was being court-martialed.
It was a tangled mess. And so, yeah, we just ended up cutting their net away. And, so one of the first things I really noticed is whatever this object was, it was very big for one thing, and it was floating too. It had some buoyant properties to it, which was pretty surprising, just given the size, the shape of it.
Can you describe the size and shape?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't understand if it was that big, how they're trying to pull it out of the water with a boom on a boat. Coast Guard boats are not generally huge. They're not big like a Navy ship.
So it was I wanted to say it was probably between maybe 25 to 30 feet. It was perfectly round. It was a disc shape, or, you know, saucer, whatever you call it. It had a very dull silverish color, I guess.
Dull silver metal, another common trait of UFO stories.
If that makes
Yep. And you got to say no rivets. There was no rivets, right? I'm just, I don't know if he's going to say no rivets, but a lot of people say that. No rivets, no visible signs of propulsion, you know, no signs of being manufactured like rivets or bolts.
makes any sense. Like it wasn't polished. And it was just weird. It didn't seem to give off any reflective properties or anything.
And what time of the day was this now?
This was probably, I want to say, late afternoon.
Okay.
You know, I'm going to say around like maybe 4 p.m.-ish, I'd say, when we started getting it on board, like retrieving it out of the water.
And you were above board and the others were below deck because you had a clearance, a top secret?
That's correct, yes.
So can you discuss that?
And a viewer in our live chat has pointed out that he's claiming that he had a top secret clearance at the exact time that he was being court-martialed for growing and selling hallucinogenic mushrooms on the ship he was assigned to. And we're going to look at those documents. But this is the quality of Stephen Greer's sources. A guy who was maybe so fucking high on fucking mushrooms that he saw an alien spacecraft being pulled out of the water on that ship. Great job, Stephen Greer. Great job vetting this source too before you ran with the fucking story. Why do we gotta show people the truth about your so-called fucking whistleblower, you asshole? We're not out there making millions of fucking dollars selling bullshit. You are. It's your job to vet this fucking guy.
And some, you know, that's why you were allowed up.
Yeah, I was later told that that's the reason why, because, you know, I definitely was confused and asked that question, like, why me? I'm just a junior enlisted. And the other enlisted guy, he was only, like, I was an E3 at the time, a fireman, and he was an E4. He was a quartermaster 3rd class. So, yeah, that's apparently why.
I had top secret clearance while I was doing mushrooms on that Coast Guard ship and getting court-martialed for selling mushrooms to on-duty officers on the ship that got them sick. Apparently, somebody had to be hospitalized, and that's what started the investigation into this event. The mushroom event, not the alien event, friends.
Okay.
We were chosen. And of course, the officers, I think all the officers had to have the clearance just to be an officer, I guess.
And so what ensued then after you saw this in the net? They cut it loose. What happened?
So, we ended up, so we grabbed a variety of materials. I think one of the main things that we used to help create like a harness to lift it, because obviously all we had was a hook, and there's nothing to hook onto a smooth disc. So we had a lot of the mesh ladders that we would throw over the side of the ship. Sometimes, like if someone was to go out for a dive or swimming and then to climb back up on board.
Wow, such detail. So they had to create a harness for the spaceship. Great.
We had quite a bit of that material. It's very tough, very strong. And we ended up, I wasn't actually one of the ones that was out on the water doing that. I was on the deck at the time, but there was 3 officers that were worked on maneuvering this material underneath the craft in the water. And then sure enough, we got it to where it looked like it would hold, and then we ended up hooking the harness we had made to the boom. And so I remember when we lifted it, this object was heavy. Now I could tell you, we were used to lifting some.
This is like the most boring alien recovery story I've ever heard, right? Just tell us what happened. What happened after you? Come on, man.
Pretty heavy buoys. From what I remember,
Nobody cares
there were
about
two
the nets you
sizes
use.
that we
They
used
care
to
about
lift.
if it was an alien spacecraft, Mushroom Man.
14,000 pounds, and then there was the 18,000 pound ones.
Mhm.
And this went, I could tell by how far to the left we were listing at the time that this was way heavier than that.
Mm. Heavier than the 18,000 pound one.
Yeah, that's my main reference I could use
Mhm.
for the weight that I knew that was capable of.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm wanting to say it was we were listed to the side on about a 45-degree angle, I'd say, if I had to guess. So it was pretty heavy. And we ended up, surprisingly, I had my doubts, we swung it up over the main buoy deck, and we got it. We retrieved it.
And how close did you get to it?
I touched it. I was right there.
And what did it feel like, and what did you observe that close?
Okay. So
Does anybody else notice that every time he's asked a question, he's really struggling to find an answer? Right? I don't think this witness is very credible. What happened was every time he's asked a question, he has to struggle for an answer.
actually, I think I was the very first one that did touch it, because, I remember one thing I did, I pounded on it, like, just to see, like, if it was solid, was there something inside? And it gave off a very deep thud sound with a slight echo. So that told me that it was hollow to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
There was definitely some kind of cavity in there.
Could it be scratch? I think you mentioned that, someone tried to tell me about that.
Yeah. Whatever this metal was, it was like perfect. It would not scratch. And
This is reminiscent of the Roswell claims that you could not scratch, dent, or any way deform or scar or cut the material that the alien spacecraft was made out of. Okay.
myself and I remember another officer as well. We had 4 concrete weights that we kept on the ship just for buoyancy to balance it out.
Mhm.
So there were little chunks that would break off. So I took one of those broken chunks and just tried, knocking, scratching, and it was amazing. We could not put a mark on it.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Were there any openings or windows or?
There was none. There was nothing.
Was it seamless? It had no parts or seams?
There was no seams at all.
We got to seamless. Are we going to get to no rivets?
No point of going in or out of it? No way to get in or out that you could see?
That's correct. It was completely smooth.
And so you mentioned it was about 25, 30 feet across. How high was it? How thick? Just an estimate.
I wanted to say probably maybe 8 to 10 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Yeah.
So were the rest of the crew allowed to ever come up and see it?
No.
So once you retrieved it, then what happened?
Well,
Oh, here we go. The men in black are going to come and get the spaceship. I guarantee it. I haven't seen this yet, friends, but if this goes the way I think it's going to go, another ship is going to come and take it, right? The men in black. they're going to take it back to Wright Patterson or Area 51 and fucking pull those aliens out of that flying saucer.
Once we had got it on board, we had to then cover it. We took a bunch of tarps and we had to cover it before we took it back into the harbor, for one thing. But also, while this was going on, one of the officers, this was before we even lifted it out of the water, one of the officers had gone by all of the windows and portholes and had taped cardboard over it. And
yeah, and nobody on the ship would think that that was odd, that they're suddenly taping cardboard over all the fucking windows and portholes. You know, Stephen Greer, you forget this too, you dumbass. You can contact the commanding officer of the ship that he was on and verify parts or all of his story with the officers on the ship. But let me guess, they're not going to tell you the truth, right? Because they're in on the cover up.
which was not something that had ever happened. And, you know, that's just not something that they did.
And these are the portholes of your boat, not this.
Of the ship,
not
yeah.
This, not
Yeah,
the craft
the
that
Coast
you
Guard
were.
vessel.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm
Just want to be
about.
clear that people don't get
Yes.
confused.
And, you know, a lot of guys were complaining, like, what's this about? And, well, you know, he's just like, sorry, captain's orders.
Mhm.
And
What was the conversation like, if any, of the officers and the two of you that were enlisted up on deck as you retrieved and saw this object? What were people saying or exclaiming, or what happened?
well, I mean, I think they were just as amazed as I was. I mean, that whole scenario, even thinking back now, I mean, it was just surreal. It didn't seem like it was real.
We're going to skip ahead, friends. I think we've got the meat of the story, though. He was on a Navy Coast Guard ship, and they recovered flying saucer out of the water somehow. Okay.
And do you know any of their names or recall them?
The names, no, although one of them was the executive officer of MARSEC.
Okay. And your commanding officer was there, presumably?
Yes. Yes,
What was his name?
He was Lieutenant Commander Corson.
Okay. And do you know the names of any of the 8 of you that were there, the other enlisted men or any of the other officers?
Yes.
Okay. And what were they?
They were, okay, there was,
Got to think about it.
hopefully I get their ranks right. There was Ensign Ryan. There was Ensign Peekanu.
It's great that he's
There
naming all
was
these people.
Lieutenant
'Cause we can check this
J.G.
story out with every one of
Jarnett.
them. Did you do that, Greer, before you ran with this story?
There was,
Or are you just going to let this clown muddy people's names of having been involved in some kind of fake alien cover-up, you asshole?
Quartermaster Third Class Bolt. It's very, it's more casual, and
Sorry, we're skipping ahead, friends. I can't sit there looking.
he was just a very approachable guy, you know. So, yeah, we had a few private conversations, especially afterwards.
And what did he say in those? What was his comments? And was he angry or what?
He was very angry. I know he was. And not just at being lied to, but he just felt that we were all put in danger in general by pulling it out of the water, because, you know, there's a lot of bad things that could happen if you overexert that heavy machinery.
Right.
And there was, yeah, he was just adamant about that. He just kept saying they put the whole crew at risk, and and I kind of agree with him on that.
Yeah. So he felt that the ship could have capsized, or what was his concern?
Probably capsize, or because of the way the cables were rigged that held the boom up, like if one of those were to snap with us on board, I mean, it could easily have just chopped right through us.
Oh, okay.
And that's
Yes, insert more drama here.
all that was going through my head at the time too. Like I did not want to be standing out there while they were trying to lift that, because we had no idea how heavy it was. Even.
Right.
Like we just blindly were ordered to pick it up.
Right.
And so we did.
So during this briefing, you mentioned intimidating. Was the stance sort of a threatening stance and intimidating?
Yeah, so here we go. The Men in Black came and briefed these people that got it out of the water, and you're not going to tell anybody about this. It's all part of the Men in Black UFO secret cabal cover-up.
Oh, yeah, I can say this. Now, the morning of the debriefing, that was probably one of the scariest days of my life. Just, first of all, because there was so much secrecy involved with the window, the portholes being covered. So, like, I knew this was big. And it may have been a rational fear, I don't know, but I was convinced that, they were, gonna erase our memory or Men in Black stuff.
Yeah, the Men in Black, they got that gun, right? They could shoot it at you and erase your memory. You fucking clown.
Style, or who knows? There was just so much going through my head at the time. And I was terrified. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a pretty intimidating experience too. There was a lot of brass in that room. And, as I said, it wasn't, if you talk, we're going to kill you. But, they just said that, you could be charged with treason under the UCMJ. And I think someone reminded, we all know that could carry up to the death penalty.
Wow, so what a brave whistleblower you are out here with Dr. Stephen Clown Greer telling your story about aliens, bro. You could be charged with treason.
Was mentioned.
Right.
So they made sure to throw that in there. Like we didn't already know. But
And what was the non-disclosure agreement? What did it consist of? Do you remember what it said and what you signed? I mean, the gist of it, as it were.
Yeah, the gist of it, the preceding day's events basically never happened.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean,
Okay, so he signed a non-disclosure agreement, and he's breaking that too here, I guess, with Dr. Stephen Clown Greer telling his stories about aliens.
it very explicitly said is to never be mentioned again to absolutely no one.
Okay.
And it, wife, family members, no one.
Okay.
And I think I seem to remember him making some attempt to make us feel like it was our patriotic duty, like to honor.
Yeah, god damn it, you traitor. It was your patriotic duty to keep them aliens and that flying saucer secret, bro. Why are you out here with fucking Dr. Camel Toe telling everybody about the aliens, bro?
Protect national security. I don't know. There was just something fishy about the whole thing. And, certainly the CO agreed.
He expressed his opinion that he felt this was inappropriate.
Absolutely. And he was very vocal about it right in front of the admiral.
Well, let's skip ahead again. This is getting...
I tried to, take him seriously and tell him, hey, I believe you. Even though I was kind of, a little skeptical, but at the same time, he had only had one beer. He wasn't like wasted or anything. So.
Right.
Maybe he didn't get your mushrooms yet.
And tell me a little bit about that. I mean, we can get into how this has affected you, how it's made you feel. It's a lot to, this is a modern day sort of Roswell where you retrieved a object like this, and
so he's going to talk about having post-traumatic stress disorder.
you had to live with it till we spoke. a couple years ago, I guess, the first time.
Yeah, it's been a few years now.
Mhm.
It was, yeah, I had a really rough time in dealing with even the fallout from my shipmates immediately afterwards, because there was
poor
kind
guy.
of this whole attitude on the ship, kind of a us versus them mentality between us enlisted guys and the officers. Like, we kind of thought all the officers were
You know, I think that's enough. We get the gist of it. So, yeah, we're going to stop that. Oh, this is gold, friends. Now we're going to see his court-martial documents. And again, this is a transformative work. I'm going to cite fair use as I share those. Thanks very much to Diana. Great find in the live chat. This is the kind of shows I love, friends. I wasn't planning on covering this interview, this fake fraud whistleblower tonight, but we can. And with kind help and assistance from our live chat participants, somebody found the court-martial documents where he was court-martialed. Oh, friends, it's lovely. 1 second. Let me get this banner off, and we will share this information, which I think goes to the credibility of the witness. Call me kooky. Call me kooky, friends. Okay, so this is the court-martial documents. United States versus Lee. Coast Guard Court of Criminal Appeals. Shannon Lee, fireman, U.S. Coast Guard. We heard him mention in this video. And here was the description of what happened from the judge. Appellate was tried, general court-martial, military judge alone, pursuant to pleas 628 of guilty, entered in accordance with the pretrial agreement. Appellate was convicted on 2 specifications of attemptful wrongful possession of 20 tablets of is that supposed to be hydrocodone? I think it's supposed to be hydrocodone, maybe. Hydriodone, a Schedule III controlled substance. 1 specification of attempted wrongful possession of 17 tablets of paracetamol, a Schedule III controlled substance. 1 specification of attempted wrongful possession of 72 tablets of Nurofen, a Schedule III controlled substance. 1 scheduled attempted wrongful induction of 3.637 grams of psilocybin mushrooms, a Schedule I controlled substance, onto the installation under the control of armed forces with intent to distribute in violation of Article 80, Uniform Code of Military Justice. 4 specifications of wrongful distributions of psilocybin, and I'm not sure how to say that, psilocybin mushrooms, a Schedule I controlled substance. Specification of wrongful manufacturing of psilocybin mushrooms, a scheduled controlled substance. 1 specification of wrongful possession of alprazolam. Wow, this guy just had all these drugs. A scheduled that's a lot of different drugs to have, friends. Was that 3 or 4 kinds of drugs? 2 different kinds of fucking mushrooms? Jesus Christ, this guy liked drugs. Specification of wrongful induction of psilocybin mushrooms, a Schedule I controlled substance, onto an installation under the control of armed forces with intent to distribute. The military judge sentenced appellant to bad conduct discharge, confinement for 12 months, and reduction to E1. The conveying authority approved the adjudged sentence, but suspended execution of confinement in excess of 300 days for a period of 12 months. The convening authority in the pretrial agreement agreed to have a period of suspension run from the date the sentence was announced. However, the action on sentence failed to state the date which the suspension was about to run. At this point, whether the period of suspension commenced on this day or that day is a moot issue, since the probation period has already run as calculated from both dates. Before court, appellant was assigned 2 errors: that since the magic mushroom spores that he planted did not grow to the point of producing a controlled substance, his guilty plea to producing a controlled substance could not be provident. Moreover, appellant's plea to wrongful manufacture of psilocybin mushrooms, a Schedule I controlled substance, is improvident because the substance manufactured, if any, was not a controlled substance or of a contraband nature. An appellant's statement that he believed that possession of mushroom spores is legal as long as there is no intent to grow them, made after the military judge explained the elements and defined the relevant terms, was inconsistent with the law as explained by the military judge. So I guess he's saying, hey man, I just planted those magic mushrooms. They weren't good magic mushrooms yet, right? I don't think we need to read any more of this. We see what he was sort of charged with, and we see what he was convicted of. Yeah. So again, this is just the quality of Dr. Stephen Greer's whistleblower. A guy that got convicted for trying to grow and sell mushrooms on a fucking Coast Guard ship. Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah. I'll, section 630. Okay, 1 second. You're right. I should have been more thorough. Thank you. Thank you, Diana. And we were looking for section 630. Oh, okay. Let's see if we can't find that. 631. Okay. Yeah, this is relevant. Following the hospitalization and treatment of a crew member for apparent ingestion of psilocybin mushrooms on the 19th of July, 2002, the commanding officer sought and received investigative assistance from the Coast Guard Investigative Service to inquire into illegal drug use aboard the cutter. Within 2 weeks, the investigation identified 12 crew, including appellant, as potentially involved in illegal drug use. The commanding officer directed the executive officer to administratively reassign these 12 crew members to Coast Guard Marina Section, MARSEC, the Coast Guard Shore Command, where home port moorings were located. The commanding officer also directed that the executive officer to require the departing crew members to surrender their unit ball cups and T-shirts, items that identified them as crew members. He did this ostensibly to ensure that they wore the same uniform as personnel permanently assigned to MARSEC, Coast Guard working blue, but also to limit the possibility of those 12 crew members being connected with illegal drug use on sassafras while assigned to MARSEC. The commanding officer directed that they not be allowed on board sassafras at any time until cleared of suspicion of wrongful narcotics use. The sassafras executive officer accompanied these instructions after coordinating with MARSEC executive officer. 12 crew members were administratively assigned to MARSEC in early August 2002. They packed their sea bags, surrendered their sassafras ball caps and T-shirts, and departed sassafras. They were not permitted to return to the cutter and did not assist in shipboard maintenance. They were assigned to workshops where they would be able to perform duties consistent with their training and experience. They quickly proved to be a significant supervisory burden. MARSEC supervisors reported that the 12 crew members failed to report on time, failed to report back from lunch and breaks. Yeah, it was a bunch of stoners and failed to complete assigned tasks. Indeed, the guidance and directions they require were beginning to detract from the accompaniment of MARSEC projects. Well, I think that's enough. But apparently, yeah, so somebody was hospitalized due to this UFO whistleblowers, selling them magic mushrooms. They got hospitalized. Great. He's using the new Mark Richards defense. It wasn't me. It was the aliens. Yeah. It wasn't me. It was the aliens. Yeah. And they were all tripping balls. Thank you for your service. Not. Prag Magic is here. Shout out to Prag Magic. Didn't aliens create human growth hormones, Dr. Greer? Yeah. So none of this surprises me. It didn't surprise me one bit when somebody told me about the interview, and then somebody said this guy was a drug addict and a drug dealer. This is the quality. Stephen Greer, you should have vetted this guy. Do you know what a fucking clown you look like now? You didn't know that this guy was selling magic mushrooms on that ship that he claims that he recovered a fucking flying saucer aboard? You asshole. You know what a fucking clown you look like now? And I'm happy. I'm happy that I can make Dr. Stephen Greer look like a fucking clown. Right? Go collect another $1.5 million from stupid people, you dumbass. This is fucking ridiculous, right? Guys, the guy was literally arrested for growing and selling magic mushrooms aboard the ship that he's talking about recovering an alien spacecraft while he was serving on it, right? It's priceless, friends. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. This is ufology, right? Or ufology, as Cal Korff likes to call it. Ufology or ufology. Another nothing burger from Dr. Greer, for fuck's sake. Yeah, all he's got is nothing burgers. Yeah, and he claimed he got his top secret clearance through this exact time when he was getting court-martialed for fucking selling all these drugs and trying to grow and sell magic mushrooms aboard the ship. I have been offered shrooms. No thanks. They smell like shit. Yes, ufology. That's Cal Korff. He's got a series of books, Pragmagic, and it's called Ufology or Ufology. And, I should do. He's not here tonight, but I'm a terrible huckster of products that I am trying to sell. But we'll see if we can't plug Cal Korff in my book, which is on Amazon right now. 1 second, friends. I'm going to share this. Yeah, he's got a series of books called Ufology or Ufology, Pragmagic, and I was the co-author or listed co-author of one of those books. Let's take a look. And this is, again, in the Ufology or Ufology series of books. This is the CIA's conspiracy against Wendell Stevens, Ufology, Ufology. This book is the definitive expose about the CIA's conspiracy against former Lieutenant Colonel Wendell Stevens, and it claims that the CIA framed Wendell Stevens for several counts of felony child molestation, to which Stevens voluntarily pled guilty. This stunning book proves the truth about the conspiracy rumors and exposes the guilty parties using never-before-published criminal case files, forensics, and archival material found nowhere else. The purpose of each volume of UFO or Ufology is to definitively solve a specific case and bring full closure. This book is fully sourced, contains dozens of criminal case files from the Wendell Stevens court files, which are not available online as this book goes to press. The book also exposes the harassment of Stephen Cambion and Cal Korff by the Billy Meyer UFO sex cult and one of its spokesmen, Mikey Horn. Sex cult leader Billy Meyer impregnated one of his cult followers and abandoned his wife. He and his believers claim a Pleiadian hybrid child has been produced. This book shows how a simple DNA test will prove otherwise, and how one will never materialize, proving Pleiadian anything. Fully sourced with dozens of newly released documents. And it's interesting that we got a fake review that I believe was from Mikey Horn. That, I think that's funny. So if you do buy the book, please give it a good review, because, we have these people giving these fake, we have somebody giving a fake review that was definitely a member of the Billy Meyer UFO cult and don't want anybody to read this book. That's why you should buy it and read it. So that's my pitch for Cal Korff, and I hate to even, it's Cal Korff's book. I had a small part in it. That's my pitch for that. If you're interested in this kind of stuff and you want to get the real truth behind some of these UFO conspiracy stories and characters, I'm going to give it to you. I have no filter. I have no wish to be diplomatic with any of these UFO clowns out there on the scene that are trying to make money out of this shit. It's an unwritten rule. I've said it before. You're not supposed to do this, friends. You're not supposed to ask Dr. Stephen Greer about the millions of dollars that he's collecting in donations. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to ask Dr. Stephen Greer why he was too fucking lazy to vet a so-called whistleblower of an alien crash retrieval that actually was a fucking drug dealer getting court-martialed at the time he claims that he's pulling a fucking flying saucer out of the ocean. Stephen Greer, you fucking clown asshole. So this is part of what we do on my show. And, listen, Everybody gets a place at the table, right? Even me, even me. And if you really are trying to get to the truth about UFOs, then you should not mind someone like me at the table who's a little more skeptical, who's going to do some research and check people's claims and try to get to the real truth behind these fucking ridiculous claims that these UFO huckster, fraud, fairy tale selling assholes are always out there on the scene hawking. We need people like me to do this, right? And for some of these clowns, it's going to get harder for them to continue doing this shit. That's my intention. It's been too easy. The fact that this guy with relative ease can collect $1.4 million to make a couple of documentaries, plus the money he makes selling the documentaries on, DVD, money he makes from the books, the money he makes from the donations to his 501c3 that's going to bring us fucking free energy devices, right? And save the world from those evil fossil fuels, right? He's making money from that, conference appearances, talking about this bullshit, none of which is credible. He doesn't have one fucking shred of pure, real evidence to prove any of his claims. No physical evidence. He had that alien. He said it was an alien, right? The Amakama humanoid. Look it up. It was a deformed human fetus. Well, maybe not fetus, but it was a deformed human with several deformities. And he tried to sell that as proof of alien life and alien visitation, right? Hype that up to the ends of the earth. And then we find out, oh shit, the DNA tests say it's just human. It's just human DNA. It's deformed, human. PBR Street Gang, I like your approach to these fakers and liars. Yeah, and sometimes I miss being lulled to sleep with these wonderful stories that aliens are real and visiting us, and the government is covering it up. I don't sleep much, and I have trouble sleeping at night. So for years, I played UFO lectures from these clowns, some of these different characters, including Dr. Stephen Greer. And for a time, boy, I wanted to believe that he was credible. After all, he's a medical doctor, a very educated man. And if he believes there's something to it, there must be. I thought the same thing about Dr. Stanton Friedman, especially after I got to know him. Dr. Stanton Friedman was a nuclear physicist who worked on nuclear rockets and top secret projects in the United States government. And he was a real nuclear physicist, and he truly, and to his dying day, believed that aliens were real and that Roswell, alien bodies crashed and were, covered up. And he truly believed that. And again, I was like, this guy's so educated, so intelligent. There must be something to this. But I guess, over time, I've learned that someone's level of education is certainly no indicator to how easily fooled they are, especially when they have a confirmation bias and they want to believe these things are true. And this is the trap many of them fall into. They're not looking for the truth. They're looking for pieces of evidence that will support a conclusion they've already made. I would love to believe that aliens are real. I would love to believe that maybe they visited us. I leave that possibility open. However, I have not made any conclusions, and I refuse to make any conclusions until I suppose, digested all the so-called evidence there is. The problem is that anything close to something that most people would call evidence is pretty barren in this UFO field, right? Yes, the mummy's alien appearance finally explained. National Geographic did a story explaining why that mummified creature was so strange, right, and alien-like, and it had to do with genetic abnormalities and deformities, a combination of them. You're one of the few I revere to call out the BS. Don't have the gullet to bring it into my already fucked up mind. Yeah, And listen, Pragmagic, I used to follow all of this stuff with my radio show, the Midnight Hour, was almost exclusively all about UFOs, right? And at the beginning of that show, I was a true believer. I really was a true believer. And I decided that it would be a good idea if I could use that microphone, right? I'm going to have a podcast. I'm going to have a radio show. I'm going to use that as a passport to get to talk to some of these big shots that have been studying this. And it worked. I was amazed at the number of people. We interviewed Stanton Friedman. We interviewed Grant Cameron. We interviewed um, uh, John Ventry, right, from Hangar 18 television show, State MUFON head. We interviewed Stephen Bassett from, he does that sort of, he's got his own sort of disclosure organization, different from Dr. Greer's disclosure organization. So I got to talk to, Richard Doty I interviewed all of these different people in this field. Don Schmidt, who wrote a great book on Roswell, a few great books on Roswell that I really like. We got to interview Cal Korff too, who's been involved in this since he was like a child in the 70s, and I guess after that show run ended, I came away going, I've talked to some of the biggest names in this, and none of them have given me any real closure on the questions that I have. Is this a real phenomenon? Is it really aliens? Have they really crashed here? Is there really a cover-up? I wanted to believe, but I guess I came away at the end of the show sort of, I came away at the end of that show run just going, I got to check out. I got to check out of this thing. I've had an intense interest in this. I've followed, watched every documentary, read every book I could get, from alien abduction stories, books about alien hybrids that turn out to be a bunch of crazy people, right? There's no credible proof or evidence that they're actually alien hybrids. They just say they are. I bought that book. I think it's called Meet the Hybrid. Excuse me. Sorry, folks. Finally got a cough button. I'm gonna start using it. So yeah, I bought it all, man. I bought it all. I digested every bit of it that I could for years and years and years. And at some point, having seen so much evidence of fraudery, fakery, these games that people play, like Dr. Greer here with this so-called whistleblower that turns out to be a guy that was getting convicted of selling drugs right at the time that he's supposed to be recovering a flying saucer, and he's not the only one that does that. We've got crazy Kerry Cassidy, and who's her whistleblower? A convicted murderer in jail that's been in jail for 35 years, but somehow he knows all about the secret space program and the war with the reptilian aliens on Mars, right? Right? We've got people like Michael Horn running around citing Wendell Stevens, right? Former lieutenant in the United States Air Force, as a credible investigator who decided that the Billy Meyer case is 100% genuine. But then you find out that Wendell Stevens was a multiple convicted child molester. He was convicted for molesting children in multiple cases, multiple victims, right? That's the quality of these people that are out there that are supposed to be proof, bringing us the proof about these aliens. Yeah. I'm sorry if I offend people by saying I have no pity for people that believe this stuff, but they can come around to reality at some point. I might give it a thought. Yeah, well, I have empathy for people that are still so interested. Yeah, I mean, no disrespect. I don't think anybody thinks you mean disrespect. Here's the deal. Like, I was one of those guys. Like, when somebody would argue with me that like Roswell was just a weather balloon, I would go off on them and start citing books and sources. And how many books have you read, bro? Because I've read them all. It was definitely aliens, And on Roswell, I still believe that may have been aliens. And by the way, we were going to do this sort of debate or discussion between Cal Korff and I, who's one of those people. It's like, no, it was a local balloon. That's all it was. All of these people are crazy. None of this alien body shit happened. We were going to have a discussion about that tonight. We're still going to have that discussion because I disagree with Cal Korff. I think he's too dismissive of the mountain of evidence and testimony around Roswell. You can't just dismiss all those people. Yeah, Brad Gray, I'm still not sure about Roswell. Me neither, but I'm not willing to just make a definitive, okay, it was a balloon. And I think that I disagree with Cal Korff's book because he's too dismissive of the eyewitness testimony. He's just too dismissive. It's easy to just say, well, he was known for being kind of a bullshitter, this Jesse Marcel, and exaggerating. And okay, it doesn't prove that does not prove he was adamant that what he saw was not of this earth. He would know the difference between a fucking weather balloon and an alien spacecraft, I would think, being a career-long Army intelligence officer. But what do I know? Yeah, it takes working on it myself. Yeah, you have to have sympathy for the people that still believe. After all, I was, like I said, I was one of them, right? And I don't want to say that I don't believe. I just have checked out. I have disconnected myself from every day going, I got to find out the truth about aliens, bro, and looking for new stories, new documentaries, new books every day. Listen to this guy's podcast, that guy's podcast. I used to feed my brain full of all of this stuff. And eventually I've sort of checked out. And my new policy is if I have to watch something like we went through this whistleblower's testimony tonight for the show, I'll do it. But I'm not going to off air here watch stuff about aliens or UFOs unless there's some actual evidence or proof where it's important. I guess my point is that some people are just rabid followers of this stuff, and I was, and I just can't. I can't dedicate that much space in my brain to fucking what may very well be a bunch of fairy tales. I can't do it anymore. I don't have the fucking mental bandwidth, right? I don't have the mental bandwidth to absorb all this information and throw out all the fakery, fraudery, and bullshittery because honestly, from everything that I've seen, 90 to 95% of it, maybe more, all bullshit, right? All bullshit. So, I just think, I don't think anybody's ever been on their deathbed and thought, I wish that I had spent a few hundred more hours listening to UFO fairy tale huckster bullshit salesmen telling people fake stories about aliens and UFOs and flying saucers. I'm not going to think that. And if anything, I'm going to be upset with myself for wasting the amount of time that I have. It's a fucking endless black hole of bullshittery. That's what the UFO phenomenon is. An endless black hole of bullshittery. Yes, mental bandwidth. We only get so much mental bandwidth, and that's all we get. So we debuted our teaser for the upcoming product that we're going to be selling, which is the Mind Hack Project. That's somebody mentioned they like the term mental bandwidth, and I talk about mental bandwidth in the Mind Hack Project. You only get so much mental bandwidth. You have to be very careful with what you allow into your mind and your brain space, and what you expend your mental energy on. And the truth be told is I've expended way too much mental energy digesting all this stuff about UFOs and aliens and maybe crash flying saucers and, alien abduction stories, secret space program, whistleblower frauds. I've just expended way too much of my mental bandwidth. Have to pull back and try at least, right? Try at least to, I'll dip my feet in every once in a while. Actually, we're going to have a few guests on and we're going to be talking about UFOs. And I think that's healthy. But to just spend all your time, I know people that spend a couple hours a day looking at this stuff, listening to this stuff. I don't have the time anymore. So back to the Mind Hack Project, we have the new teaser yeah, I'm very proud of this new teaser, and it's about the Mind Hack Project. If you're a Patreon member, you can there's 3 hours and 20 minutes of the Mind Hack Project already up on my Patreon right now. If you're not a Patreon member, it's $1 a month, and you get the system for free. I'm going to finish this Mind Hack Project, and it's going to be, I believe, we're going to sell it for $50. But if you're a Patreon member, I'm putting it on Patreon for free. You will get the complete, total finished thing. And the Patreon supporters have gotten this 20 minutes or a half hour at a time. Every month I would produce a portion of it and put it on Patreon. But now we're coming to the part where it's finally going to be finished. And this is the new teaser for the Mind Hack Project. I'm going to play it again for the benefit of those joining us late. Mind Hack is a system of personal development and empowerment that I think could really help a lot of people.
What if it was possible to learn how to hack or program your own mind? The truth is, your mind has already been programmed and controlled by others for years. But this is how you break free. This is how you learn to program your own mind and finally take control of your destiny. This is how you break that bondage. This is how you learn to hack your own mind and learn to finally be free. Welcome to Mind Hack. The Mind Hack system includes guided meditations, binaural beats for each brain state, motivational speaking, hypnotic inductions, and much, much more. The Mind Hack system puts you back in control. The Mind Hack system helps you reach your goals. The Mind Hack system helps you manifest your dreams into reality. By finally taking control of your own mind, you will learn to focus and take control of your own infinite potential. Welcome to Mind Hack.
So there we have it, the new trailer for the Mind Hack Project. I'm happy that thing's finally going to be a real thing. Pragmagic, is this a psychoacoustic thing? Oh, it is. Yeah. Pragmagic, you and I talked a little bit. As far as music production, I had a commercial, one of the first digital recording studios in Philadelphia for quite some time. So I've been doing audio forever. So this is an audio project. But we may figure out a way to, like put some graphics or some visualizations to the audio, and it'll be a video file too. But the audio includes guided meditations, hypnotic inductions that go right before the sort of like positive, uplifting, emotional speaking parts. And there's binaural beats for each brain state, and guided meditations. It's just a lot of different stuff. And yeah, actually, Pragmagic, if you like, I'll send you the link. I would send you the link so that you can get a sample. But it's mostly done. It's 3 hours and 20 minutes is up on Patreon right now. I've got a second set of I've got a second hypnotic induction and a second set of binaural beats and a few other odds and ends that we're going to put it at over 4 hours of audio when we're done. And a lot of it is just common sense motivational speaking too, Pragmagic. Like if you've ever wanted somebody like me just yelling at you to get going after your dreams, a lot of it is something like that. Theta waves, yeah. Yeah, there's binaural beats for each wave state. When I learned this, Pragmagic, I was one of the first people that figured out how to do binaural beats. Well, I don't know if I was one of the first that I knew of. I didn't know anybody else trying to make binaural beats. I learned to do it, and then I was amazed at the results that I could get. Like, using these audio files with headphones, I was able to help me get in the different brain states for whatever the task at hand was. I would listen to 5 or 10 or 20 minutes of a certain binaural beat, depending on the activity that I had to deal with at the moment, And I found these use of these binaural beats to be incredibly helpful to me in achieving goals, right? The right brain state can really change your life. I truly believe that. When I first started with Twitter, hashtags actually worked, but now they silence me on that. So the only way I can get interactions is to go to some clown QAnon and post there. Then I get lots. That's pretty funny. Audiomancy. Yeah, I saw Pragmagic's. We're going to do a show together. Pragmagic has this amazing video. I don't know which one it is or what the title. Maybe you can remind me, Pragmagic. But it's the one where you're talking about how you first learned to make crude songs. And man, that made me very nostalgic of when I was learning to do that. Pragmagic, I started on a fucking Amiga 1000 with 4 8-bit audio channels. That's what I started on. And it was one of the first computers that you could get that could do digital audio. And I was in heaven. It was like having a sampler and a computer at the same time, you know? And my first music I made, like I had to upload it to like BBS's. This was pre-internet. So yeah, but your video about how you were learning and adapting and trying to figure out how to put songs together and different sounds, it made me really nostalgic for when I started, because I was just a kid in my bedroom, and I was like sampling vinyl track records, trying to find, get drum beats out of every vinyl record that I could find. I would be hooking into this computer trying to make drum beats and bass loop, whatever I could find. And then I got into sampling actual like guitars and keyboards and stuff like that. Yeah, I have a lot to say about this large experimental and pragmatic studies of it. Yeah, good. We could talk about it. This is what I'm going to do. We were going to do a show anyway. So pragmatic, I'm gonna nominate you to be one of the first guinea pigs. I'm going to send you the link to the course, and it's going to be free for you if you come and don't feel obligated to do it. But if you'd like to, I'll send it to you for free. You can sort of listen to it, and then we can talk about it, and you can let me know what you thought was helpful, what you think needs improvement. Intro to Audiomancy. Yeah, I love that, because I'm telling you, Pragmatic, I was so up on audio experimentation and mixing sounds when I started. And then I think as time goes on, and once you figure out the whole songwriting thing, you stick to your what works for you. But I want to get back to the experimental side of things and start really pushing the studio as an instrument again. My last project, I did a 7-hour plus long concept album, Pragmagic, and it's pinned on my Twitter right now. And for that, I had a deadline every month. So, but I wanted to do that because I'm the kind of guy who will go have one song and spend 3 months just layering stuff on top of it and switching instruments in and out if I let myself. So for that project, I said, no, I have to finish 2 songs a month. I don't have time. That bass sound is fine. And my usual way of doing things is I'll put the bass line in and then I will try 1,000 different bass sounds, right? I'm not happy until I've tried all 1,000 bass sounds to find the very perfect one. I didn't have time for that with this last project. So I just said, that bass sound is fine. Get a good one that's close enough, and really move. I wanted to see how long I could keep up doing a few songs a month, and it turned out almost indefinitely. And somehow I got up to a 7-hour long bunch of songs, right? After just purging everything that I could. Up the concept pumps. 12 concept albums under my belt. Yeah, I love concept albums. Everyone I do, whether people recognize it or not, is a concept album, right? Yeah, the YouTube algorithm is, if they hate you, you will get nowhere. But if you spam total BS, they love you. It's totally backwards. Yeah, Jeanette emailed me. Okay, I'll take a look at that as soon as I get off air, and I'll get back to you, Jeanette. I appreciate that. If we can help each other, I'm all for it. Yeah, audio diaries. Yeah, Pragmagic. I did that 7 hour plus long concept album and released it sometime last year, and I really thought like I'm done for a long time. Like I just 100 songs, right? The equivalent of 10 full length albums in one shot. Like here's 7+ hours of music, over 100 songs. I don't remember how many. Maybe 110, I think. So it's like 11 albums almost, right? Yeah, I thought I was done, and then I recently started trying to write again. So we'll see what happens. But I think I'm going to do a new album over, but I mean reasonable, like a 10-song album. I'm going to do over the winter at the cabin with any luck. Yeah, I want to hear some of your actual music. Is that where I can find it? I mean, you can hear some in your videos, but, or I think I did visit this site, maybe. Yeah, I'd like to hear, I think I did hear some of your music and I liked what I heard. Six Design, didn't you do music in the past? Yes, I did, for a long time. I was really trying to make it in the music business until you figure out that it's really like a lot of gatekeepers and the odds are stacked against you. I'm very fortunate though that I got to live a dream for a while, right? And then eventually the finances start winning. I see old friends and they go, "Hey, are you still touring with your band? Are you still, doing shows?" And I basically say that I finally decided that I liked eating much more than being a touring musician. And also, I'm much more comfortable just in the studio. Like I'm much more comfortable if I had to choose between doing a live show and spending the 3 or 4 hours it takes to do that hour live show, and all the rehearsal and all that stuff, or I could spend 4 hours just recording songs in the studio on my own. I would prefer to do that. And you only have so much time too. I have 2 children. I don't have time, and especially to deal with bands. Man, I am a one-man band, producer type synthesizer guy for a reason, and that is I can't stand to work with people. Not always. I've had a few guys that I've worked with in my life that were really, really hardworking, but most of them were really not. and what a rock band, it really is. It's one guy working his balls off, and 3 or 4 guys having a big party constantly, and that gets old after a while. And after a while, you go, I don't want to do this shit anymore dealing with people. Luckily for me, because of technology, I don't need to. And the truth is, I never needed to. Mostly what I did was create songs digitally or on a computer, and then the band would learn the song that I was in one band that was really like an organic rock band with a keyboard player. That one was sort of a real band. But after that, I made all the songs on a computer, and then I just got guys like, you're going to play guitar live when I play live, you're going to be the drummer when I play live, but really they were just playing my computer songs. And that went better because they didn't have to work very hard to do that. But even that, getting guys to show up, yeah, getting guys to show up, be sober enough to play the show, be serious about it, take it seriously. Hey, Lamont Cranston, I believe you are new here. I don't believe that I've seen you, and if so, welcome. Well, in either case, welcome, but we love to see new users here. Hello from Branson. Is that Branson, Missouri? I have some friends that do shows in Branson, Missouri. Branson, Missouri is very big on magic shows. Well, all kinds of shows, really, right? But you guys, second to people don't know this, but second to Las Vegas for number of live magic shows is Branson, Missouri. That's how I started. We used to play for parties and bashes. It was wonderful, crazy but wonderful. Lots of tipsy nights. Yeah, sometimes I miss that. And Pragmagic, I could draft you. I think you're like a multi-instrumentalist, and boy, could I use a guy like you on my new record, right? I'm gonna try to draft Pragmagic, right? Pragmagic, I wasn't going to do another record, and then I was talking to an old friend, and he was like, "You're so good. You're great. You're great." He was pumping my ego up. He's a friend, but he's a friend that I trust. And he said, "You're really good at writing songs. You can't stop." And he said, "Everybody's got." I said, "I just did this huge 7-hour record. Like, I don't know what I got left, in me to make another record out of." And he said, "No, every great songwriter has at least one amazing record left in him at all times. You're no different. Go make another record and make it the best you've ever." And I was like, "Make it the best." He said, "Make it the best record you've ever done." And I go, "Yeah, no pressure. Thanks." But I think I'm in a good place to do that now. I don't know. I have no idea. I have about half of album written, right? I have 5 or 6 songs that I think are good enough. Well, friends, we're going to wrap things up here, I suppose. We have gone for, like 2 hours and 45 minutes. If there's any more, if you guys want to ask any comments or questions in the live chat. Oh, Cranston 1313. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that you were not new. But welcome back then. Welcome back. Yes, I know you on Twitter. Good. Good to see you here. Yeah, so every record is my first. See, that's why we're going to talk about songwriting, Pragmagic. I need to get my head in the right place to do this again. Right? I thought I was checking out, I figured like I'm going to dump everything I can music wise, and then I'm just going to roll out. Right. But it's like that joke. Just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. People are street Dan. Good show. Thanks, man. Yeah, this was fun. We got to really, it's so fun. And thanks so much to our live chat participants who really did help. Diana really did help with tonight's show by providing the links right away to discredit this so-called whistleblower. That was awesome. Okay, work has been nuts lately, but I'm happy to catch the tail end of your show. Yeah, work is nuts for a lot of people right now with all the stuff going on. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad that you did get here. That's how it was with my poetry. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to, Jeanette, I'm trying to just write words like lyrics. I'm trying to fill a copybook, which is something that I did when I was younger. This is really dating, but I used to keep just a composition book, the marble copybook you get. And I would take it with me everywhere I went. And everywhere I went, if I had an idea, I would jot it down, or I would sit in a park sometimes and write whole songs, the words, the melodies for whole songs out. I'm getting back to doing that. And it's funny to go buy a copybook again, but I think it's good to see it on the paper and it's not just words on a screen, writing it out. There's something physical about that I like. Okay, you follow on Twitter. Yeah, Pragmagic. I don't got much to do tomorrow night. I'm going to eat turkey and I might be in a turkey coma, but if you want to do it tomorrow night, I would be up for that. Otherwise, we'll schedule it for sometime next week. And I thought that would be good. We could just talk about the art of songwriting and like layering sounds and some things you learned and why they were important and how they affected, you as an artist. We'll have a really good discussion. If I miss a show, I usually put on the wireless headphones and do general chores around the house. Yeah, that's what's amazing about this to me as a show producer. It's like I have people tell me all the time, like, yeah, I listen to you while I drive to work. If I miss a show, or I listen to you while I'm cleaning my house. That's interesting. Yeah, let's schedule next week. You're right. I'm going to be in a turkey coma, I think. My wife cooks great, Pragmagic. Like, she's a great, great cook. And I think she's already cooking, like right now. It's like almost midnight here. I think she's cooking some stuff for like, prepping stuff for tomorrow. She's a wonderful cook. So I'm way looking. Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday. No presents, no bullshit. You just show up and you eat like a pig. What's not to like? And I'm sure she's got a bunch of treats and cakes and things for us. My kids, especially my younger son, he's been counting down how many sleeps until Turkey Lurkey Day for about 10 days now, I think. So he's looking forward to it. Miss Jonaside is going to be listening while she's cleaning the living room for tomorrow. Yeah, I guess Mrs. Jonaside is going to be very busy with Thanksgiving festivities too. You poor women. I feel like such a slouch sometimes. Like my wife's going to be cooking all night, all day tomorrow, right? And I'm just going to show up and eat. And it's the same thing for Christmas. She spends all this time like wrapping all the kids' presents and doing all this shopping and doing all this stuff. And I just show up and act surprised, right? Like, wow, Santa Claus was really good to you boys, right? Can't stand to eat turkey. Fuck you, you fucking Australian. Turkey's delicious, man. Turkey, especially if you got good gravy and mashed potatoes. How the fuck do you not like turkey? What's wrong with you? Oh, wow. You need a wife to do my housework and cook. I have nothing for Thanksgiving. Yeah, when I was single, I didn't do anything. This is really sad, but one year I felt like I should do something, but I was so broke and poor, starving artist that I was, that I couldn't buy like a real turkey and all that stuff. So I bought like turkey lunch meat and turkey gravy. and yeah, I had like a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, right? It was bad. It was sad. But I did something for Thanksgiving by myself, At the time I think I wasn't speaking to my family. By that I mean my parents and my brother and things. So I was off on my own. And I didn't get like invited to somebody else's house or something. So hey, you do what you can. But I was thankful that I was had a roof over my head and food to put in my belly. And you always have to have an attitude of gratitude. But when I think about that now, it makes me kind of sad, right? Because now I'm very blessed. Tomorrow I'm going to have my 2 boys and my wife, and we're all going to, have a really good holiday together. Yeah, so friends, turkey and sweet potatoes. Not a fan of the sweet potatoes. I'll eat them, but I've never like, yay, yams or sweet potato. Diana, yeah, the elf on the shelf. My wife was just telling. My wife's got names for each of the boys' elves on the shelf. It's Kristoff, and I forget the other one, but she was telling my younger son, Kristoff is on his way. And he's like, really? From the North Pole? My wife's like, yeah, he's riding a reindeer down here right now, and he's going to be here, and he's going to be your elf on the shelf and watch you, make sure you're good. It's so funny, but when you're a parent, dude, you'll use any shit like that you can. Like, are you whining? Your elf on the shelf is going to call Santa Claus, bro. And he calms right down. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, Dad. I won't whine. I'm a good boy. We're like, yep. Whatever you can do. Yeah, so friends, I guess we're gonna roll out here. I appreciate you taking the time to be with me. I'm always happy when there's an audience, and I'm glad that you could be a part of mine. We got a bunch of good guests coming up. We have Cal Korff coming up. We have Smoke King from Paranormal Hood. We'll be talking about Coral Castle. We've got Pale Stranger coming up on the 40th anniversary of the Cash Landrum incident. We have Solar Marshal and Alien Scientists coming up on December 4th. And we have Pragmagic coming up sometime next week. And a few others, actually. So things are looking up on the guest front. Yesterday, I had a very good time with Kelly from Explaining Esoterica talking about Buddhism. If you didn't see that show, you should check it out. You would probably enjoy it. I really enjoyed it because I had all these questions that I really wanted to ask somebody that knew more about Buddhism than me. It turned out to be a great, great show. So, friends, until next time, my name is Stephen Cambian. Good night. And God bless all of you. And happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful that you're here with me. I don't know about a show tomorrow, but we'll see.